Have you noticed how most light bulbs are now LED instead of those old tungsten bulbs we all grew up with? I suppose most of us don't even think about it anymore. But here's a question or two. Do you remember how long ago it was that you used your very first LED light bulb? Were you skeptical of the unproven new technology? Did you resist the inevitable change? My name is Ian Currey and this is Thinking Out Loud. Come on, let me tell you what I think. I'll date myself here for some, but when I was at college studying electronics, we were still being taught valve and discrete transistor theory. The very first practical LEDs, red and not very bright, were being analysed, so those were on the menu for us to devour. And we were told, accurately, that the likelihood of blue, and therefore white, light ever coming from an LED was at a minimum decades away. As keen young technicians, many of us looked at the why behind that reality and agreed with the clever scientists teaching us that indeed a breakthrough in that particular arena appeared very far off. We soon settled down to life with cathode ray tubes, tungsten light bulbs, with rare additions of LEDs as upscale indicators in hard-to-access places deep within expensive equipment. Mixing red and green LED light, once green LEDs had become common, gave us yellow or orange, so we were happy to leave it at that. This box contains a couple of hundred LEDs. Most of them look exactly the same as each other, but vary in both colour and function. Some flash, some this camera can see, but my eyes cannot, and those have some clever uses. And this one flashes, changes colour and timing, all without any outside circuitry. If I owned this box when I was at college, I could have sold it for a very great deal of money. How technology has changed and at what a pace. These days, each of these LEDs costs a penny or two at most. The holy grail of LED technology was finding how to manufacture a device that would give blue light. Back in the 70s and 80s, most of the well-known electronic manufacturers had given up. To any moderately educated technician, the problem was obvious. And since science was science, that was that. Well, all that is except one stubborn technician. His name is Suji Nakamura. And despite being told by his boss to stop wasting time on something that wasn't possible on more than one occasion, he persisted. Eventually, he came up with a blue LED in the early 90s. Now, you'd think he would be famous, and his boss, the head of the company who manufactured LEDs, would reward him and give him a bonus or something. Well, that's not quite what happened. Suji Nakamura was paid just $170 for the patent that covered the clever technology. Now, while mixing red, green and the new blue light would produce white light, we've covered that in a video before, an alternative way to do that was to modify the blue LED, adding a special phosphor. And despite the ingenious developments, it was only in 1996 that the very first practical white LED came into existence. By 2010, just 1% of light bulbs worldwide were LED. Now that may not seem like much, but just like electric cars, many resisted change, pun intended. LED light will give you headaches. You'll have all sorts of nasty issues if they break and they cost too much. There are some minor issues with LED lights, especially in certain applications in the film and television industry. But no, they don't give you headaches. They cost a fraction of the price of anything else to run, and while they are more expensive to purchase initially, they last much longer. If you do manage to break one, far from being dangerous, you'll find them easy and safe to dispose of. No potato jammed into the socket to retrieve the broken glass that was so common with tungsten bulbs. You've never heard of a potato in the light socket thing? Do you see how fast things are forgotten? Blue LEDs use gallium nitride, and that's going to give you cancer and burn a hole in your floor. No, it isn't. Gallium nitride is inert and biodegradable. And if you really want to, you could eat it quite safely, although it doesn't really taste of anything. Something like, well, eating sand. Blu-ray players used the technology, and yes, Blu-ray did get its name from the colour of the light needed to recover the information on the discs. This studio is lit using LED light. It would be very different if I had to rely on tungsten lights in this tiny space, and a whole lot hotter too. At the start of this year, more than half the world's lights are now LED. Finally, in 2014, Tsuji Nakamura won the Nobel Prize for Physics. He continues to live and work in California, and I must say some of his recent work is even more interesting than figuring out how to make efficient coloured light. Can you imagine if he too had given up on finding a way to produce blue light from an LED? It seems like such a simple thing these days, but without his tenacity and breakthroughs in technology, the world would be a very different place. His boss tried to stop him on several occasions. Others gave up, and most in the business decided what he was trying to do was impossible. There are, of course, many lessons that can be learned from the ongoing story of LED invention. Can you imagine the pressure there must have been to give up? The full story is one of bullying, disrespect, and ignorance. Many examples in history can be found of this sad trend. Job, all the way back in ancient biblical times, had some choice words for people trying to talk him out of doing what he knew to be the right thing. I have heard all this before. What miserable comforters you are. Won't you ever stop blowing hot air? What makes you keep on talking? I could say the same thing if you were in my place. I could spout off criticism and shake my head at you. But if it were me, I would encourage you. Instead of being a Job's comforter, always being dismissive of change, progress, and innovation, how about coming alongside people with ideas and actively encouraging them? What if you had a Tsuji Nakamura as a neighbour? Would the world change or not? Until next time, goodbye.